From burnout and exhaustion to joy and fulfillment. Through the act of serving consciously, it's time to rediscover your passion. It's live with Elizabeth and guests on the Contact Talk Radio Network.
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to Serving Consciously. I'm your host, Elizabeth Bishop. And today, Alexander Demetrius is with us. And we've just been having this amazing conversation just about sort of Alexander's journey, the looking at the hero's journey through Joseph Campbell's eyes, and just talking about some of the practices that can help us to really connect to our sense of divine presence and to look at life as being something that is happening for us as opposed to something that's happening to us. And I want to dive into talking about your book, Alexander, The Reward of Not Knowing. So I just want to give a little blurb here. The Reward of Not Knowing, a hero's inward journey, is for anyone who feels that the life they're currently living isn't the one that has been waiting for them. And in the book, I know that you share some of the most tragic and often wondrous events of your past to help inspire your readers. And I'm wondering if you could give us a little example of some of the things that you share in your book.
Well, certainly. Let's see. There are the times that I grew up with my mother, who was both God and Satan at the same time. She was this individual who could be so loving, but in the midst of her mental anguish was also the greatest tormentor I've had in my life. And so I grew up with this duality of you're my loving son who is my right hand, and that was put up against you're just like your father and you'll never amount to anything. And being this little child in the world, that really can cause some you might say conflict. And as I mentioned, wherever you go, you take yourself with you. So I was always told growing up that I need to get away from my mom, and by golly, I did. But then I realized everything that I was suffering from in my home somehow is reflected in people that I'm meeting, that I'm conducting my daily affairs with. I even started seeing patterns in her that were so similar to me. And that was enough to spur this inward journey.
Right.
So, yeah, for sure.
So I'm just curious about this. How was writing, is your mom still here?
Yes, absolutely. Well, she's not here. She's there in Austin, Texas. But she is, I would say, one of my best friends. And there was a shift that happened not in her, but in me, where I truly live by that admonition that life is happening for me. And I will say that she was rather dependent on me growing up, but I also had the inclination that I wanted to live my own life. And when I left off to Los Angeles at one time to pursue a career in acting, or so that's what I had my sights set on at one time. I remember being in Santa Monica and seeing this T-shirt on the beach that said, "Mommy's Travel Agency. We specialize in guilt trips." Because that's exactly what I was up against when I told her I'm going to go off and do my own thing. But I also have to consider how difficult that was for her. But despite that, I went off. I had this journey. I even wrote the book in the most honest way I could. And then for her to later read the book and tell me that she was proud of me for going and finding my own way was so cathartic and liberating and rewarding. And it tells me to this day that no matter what your critics are saying, follow your heart. It's a natural percussionist. It never misses a beat. And it will always, always guide you to where your highest potential lies. And I feel that people have gotten away from that. So in Gandhi's famous admonition, I wish to be the change in the world, and I cannot change the outside world, nor would I attempt to, but I can certainly control myself, which then leads into other ideas like Stoicism, which I believe Marcus Aurelius was an advocate of this Stoic personality, that you realize you are the master and commander of your vessel. and you are always standing guard at the doorway of your thoughts. Therefore, you always have your hand on the ship's wheel, and you are the navigator. You are not being just a leaf in the wind.
Right.
And that's very empowering.